Are we live? Okay, we are live. Sorry about the late start today and the false start. If I thought dealing with Facebook Live was a pain in the butt, it's because I had never forced it to work with Zoom. It is a massive pain in the butt. Okay, so I'm trying to set this up so you can see me and my screen. There we go. And we can get started. Welcome to Tea and New Book Tuesday. I'm Lisa, I'll be your host. I'm coming to you live from West Regional today. That's why my background looks a little bit different. And we are open, Maine is open. I think every location is now open for in and out service. So you could come and look at new books and browse and pick things out and use the computers and all that good stuff. All right, so let's get into the big thing, the thing that we're all here for. In addition to, hearing about new books. Today's giveaway is going to be Lisa Unger's Confessions on 745, which I have right here. It has 21 holds on 12 copies. It's a thriller, and Ungers have been a really popular author. As you can tell, I mean, there's more holds than we have copies. So if you want to have this in your hands by the end of this week, I'd like you to tell me in the comments what your all-time favorite mystery or thriller novel is. Mine personally is probably And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, which I absolutely love. It's a classic for a reason. Be sure to add in your comment which MPL location you would prefer for picking up the book. That will allow me to get it to you faster. Oh, sorry. Today's themes for the books we're going to talk about are all going to be November titles, and we're going to do yellow labels, which at MPL yellow labels mean suspense, thriller, mystery, and I feel like there's one, or crime. That's what it is. It's suspense, thriller, which is a huge, broad category. And as you'll see, there are a lot of different titles in this category. And we're also going to go over some true crime titles. Okay, so what I'm drinking today, I'm having my lemon strawberry green tea from Tazo, which I'm drinking because it was the only one in my bag when I arrived at West Regional. I forgot to pack myself options, although it is very good. And it is nice to have when I'm talking constantly. All right. I finished Plain Bad Heroines by Emily Danforth. My full review is up on Goodreads if you want to read it. The highlights are that I think I did not change these release dates. They're incorrect. Plain Bad Heroines comes out October 20th. The best part about the book is the characters, particularly because there are so many LGBT characters and they're given such rich lives and so much dimension. The way Danforth sort of created the interplay between them and the relationships between them made me want to go and like live in that world. The sort of least great part of the book is that the climax isn't terribly climactic. It's kind of, it's not bad. It's just sort of this kind of thing you read and you go, oh, okay, that's what happened. Doesn't mean you shouldn't read the book. I still gave it 4 stars. I still think it's a good book. The other thing about it that I think you should know is that I feel like the publisher and NetGalley and probably the marketing people have decided to build this as a horror comedy. It's not really either of those things. It's amusing and it's entertaining, but that doesn't make it a comedy. There are no jokes. I didn't laugh at any point. Maybe I was in a weird mood and I just didn't get the jokes, but I don't think so. The horror part, it's definitely dark and there is disturbing imagery, but I feel like it's more surreal than fear-inducing. But if we get into that, then we sort of have to get into that big debate of, is horror only things that induce fear, or is it also things that are horrifying? because there's definitely imagery in the book that's horrifying. So maybe in that way it's horror. But I think if you have, I don't think you have to have much of a tolerance for horror to be able to read this. I think you just have to have a reasonable tolerance for sort of vivid imagery. And as I said, you can read the full review on Goodreads. I am now reading Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. It comes out on May 4th, 2021, so I'm reading this one very early. Andy Weir wrote The Martian, which I absolutely loved. I think I've read it like 3 times. I did not read his second book. They said it was a big departure, which I might have even started it and it just didn't work for me. I'm a couple of chapters into Project Hail Mary, and I already really like it. It manages to really feel like The Martian. It has Weir's humor, it has actual jokes, and therefore is actually funny. And also his way of explaining science that makes sense for me because I'm not terribly science-minded. But when I'm done with that, I will put my full review up on Goodreads. All right. Let's get into our yellow labels, which can range anywhere from pulse-pounding thrillers to cozy mysteries and everything in between. Starting with, oh no, she's on my page right here. The Girls of Brackenhill by Kate Moriatti. This feels like a classic old house filled with secrets and possibly ghost story. In this case, the main character returns to her aunt and uncle's house. She hasn't been there in years, partly because her sister disappeared from that house many years ago. One of the taglines for the book is "Some family secrets will not stay buried and some old ghosts haunt forever," which is describing this exact kind of story in some ways. But there are a lot of early reviews and they're overwhelmingly positive. It tends to hover around like 4 stars. Moriatti also wrote The Vanishing Year and The Blackbird Season, both of which we have. So if you read this one and you like it, then you can go back and read a couple of her other books. It comes out on November 1st. Okay, this one's fun. Mimi Lee reads Between the Lines by Jennifer J. Chow. As you can tell by the color, the sort of coloring on the cover, it's a cozy mystery, not meant to be like, you know, dark and gritty, but meant to be a little more fun. And in this case, it's a cozy with a talking cat. So this is book 2 in the Sassy Cat mystery series. It centers around an Asian American pet groomer in Los Angeles who is solving crimes with the help of her talking cat, Marshmallow. There's the description of the first book included this phrase that I had to tell you. When Marshmallow exposes local breeder Russ Nolan for mistreating chihuahuas. And then it goes on to explain. Yeah, it's very nice that the cat is sticking up for the chihuahuas. Anyway, if you want a cozy mystery with like a fun twist and, you know, some diversity, which cozy mysteries don't always have, but they can, why not? This should be right up your alley. It comes out November 10th. We also have Mimi Gets a Clue, which is book 1 of the Sassy Cat Mysteries. After All I've Done by Nina Hardy. They're billing this for fans of The Woman in the Window, which I absolutely loved. If you haven't read The Woman in the Window, it's very good. And also When the Lights Go Out. But in this story, the main character was in a car accident. And as she's recovering, she's gradually coming to realize she has memory loss, which she knows, but she thinks she knows what happened in the accident, and she's starting to realize she's wrong about that. She's been making assumptions. As all of this is happening, her husband is also sleeping with her best friend, and she's growing close to another man, but she starts to realize that he may be involved in that original accident she was in. The early reviews coming in are really good. They're hovering between 4 and 5 stars. And it's worth pointing out, Nina Hardy is actually a pseudonym. This is author Megan Hart, who's written a ton of romances, and we have a lot of them. But Mina Hardy seems to be the name she's using to publish mysteries. It comes out November 10th. All right, we have another cozy, On Deadly Ties by Elizabeth Duncan. There are a lot of series in mysteries, so there are going to be a lot of series today. I just put away my description of this book. The reviews for this one are calling it a classic village mystery, so very Miss Marple, Agatha Christie kind of thing. This is book 11 of the Penny Brannigan mystery series. I feel like it's not, I feel like you may be able to pick up at different points, and this might be a good, even though this is number 11, this might be a good one to pick up and start reading, and then go back and read the other ones if you enjoy it. But Penny Brannigan is at an artist retreat in Wales, and much like Miss Marple and Jessica Fletcher on Murder, She Wrote, there is a body that just happens to show up nearby, and she has to then solve the mystery. This also involves her falling in love with someone, so there's a little bit of romance in here too. We own several other titles in this series if you would like it. Let me go back. It comes out November 10th. All right, moving on. Now, nope, you went too far. Little Cruelties by Liz Nugent. They got me interested in this by saying that they were comparing it to Succession, and reading a little more about it, I kind of get the comparison they're trying to make. If you watch Succession on HBO, it's about sort of, it's a fictionalized version of possibly like the Rupert Murdoch family, or the Murdoch family, or there's a couple other ones I think that the writer has reported on, and now he's sort of writing fictionalized versions of it. But it's about a very wealthy family that runs a media empire, and who's going to take over when the father retires. This book by Liz Nugent is about three brothers in a lower middle-class Irish family. So I think the comparison that they're making here is that it's about this sort of the tensions and the conflict and the old arguments that take place in a close-knit family. It's not obviously involving wealth or the media empire thing. But yeah, okay, so the book is about the relationships between them, and one of them ends up dead, and we're not going to be sure which one it is or how it happened. One of the quotes I liked from the description was that Liz Nugent has an unnerving eye for the complexities of families. She delves into the secret life of a deeply troubled household and provides stunning insights into the many forces that shape us from childhood. The early reviews are hovering at about 4 stars. The author is Irish herself, and she's written several other well-received novels, including Lying in Wait, which we own. Little Cruelties comes out November 10th. All right. And this is a historical mystery, A Lady Compromised by Darcy Wilde. This takes place in Regency, England, so very much Jane Austen's time. And it's part of a series, as are several that we're going to talk about today. This is number 4 in the Rosalind Thorne mysteries. It's recommended for fans of Jane Austen, and for good reason. The Thorne mysteries, she's solving murders and mysteries that take place in society, as they say, which is Austen always talked about. They refer to it as middle-class British society, except those people seem to have an awful lot of money, so I think middle class means something different to the British than it does to Americans. But yes, Thorne helps ladies of society navigate the darker corners of Regency England while revealing society's most shocking secrets. We own another title from this series called A Useful Woman, in case you want to check that one out. And this comes out November 24th. Now we have A Galloway Epiphany by Ken Bren. Again, It's another series. They wouldn't even give me the number on this book, so I don't know where it takes place in the series. But if you're not going to hand out, like, it's a Jack Taylor novel, if they don't give me a Jack Taylor novel number 4, Jack Taylor, then I assume you can pick it up wherever you want and just start reading from there. In this version, or in this novel, the ex-cop turned private eye, Jack Taylor, is pulled from a quiet new life in retirement quiet new life on a farm by 3 new mysteries that he proves dangerously linked. And one of the mysteries that really interested in me was that apparently at some point he's hit by a car and he ends up in a coma, but when he wakes up, he doesn't really have any other injuries. And the village has decided that he doesn't have any injuries because 2 children came to him and healed him. So they think these children might be saints, which is, and I just found that really interesting. We own several other titles in this series if you end up liking it, and it is coming out on November 3rd. All right. Shadow Sands by Robert Brinza? Okay, it's yet another mystery series. This one is also British, or no, I'm sorry, the other one was Irish. This is British. It's Kate Marshall number 2. And Kate Marshall was a disgraced ex-cop who returns to investigating after several years of teaching. And in the first novel, she's dealing with a serial killer. In this novel, in Shadow Sands, she finds the body of an apparent drowning victim, and the local authorities decide that it's just a tragic accident. But the more she looks into it, the more she's thinking that it wasn't. And she notices that a lot of people have gone missing in this area recently and starts to believe that this too is another serial killer. The first book in the series is 9 Elms. We do own it if you decide you want to read that. And Shadow Sands comes out November 3rd. All right. Okay, let's talk true crime. It's like fictional crime, but it's true. The first one I've been hearing about for a while, and I really thought it looked interesting. This is nonfiction, of course. We Keep the Dead Close, A Murder at Harvard in a Half Century of Silence by Becky Cooper. Oh yeah, this is also we're also buying this on audio, but this is a phrase that they started out the description with that I really liked. You have to remember, he reminded me, that Harvard is older than the US government. You have to remember because Harvard doesn't let you forget. In 1969, in Harvard, a young woman was murdered, and this is around the time when Harvard was merging with its all-girls sister school, which I did not realize that existed, but apparently Harvard was for men, essentially, and women went to a school called Radcliffe. So in the middle of that, this girl was found bludgeoned to death in her apartment, and the killer was never caught. The author arrived at Harvard, in the modern era in the last 20 years or so, and she hears the story. The way it's explained to her is that a young woman was killed by a professor she was having a relationship with in order to cover up the relationship. This proves to be false. That's not what happened. But this book delves into that mystery, but it also covers the way in which we rewrite the story of female victims. The early reviews are quite good, over 4 stars. It comes out November 7th. Okay, this one, I don't know if this is going to be fun or like horribly dark or a little bit of both, but it's The Woman Who Stole Vermeer, the true story of Rose Dugdale and the Rosberg House art heist by Anthony A. Moore. Dugdale is the only woman to ever pull off a major art heist, which is a weird distinction to have in your life. She was born into extreme wealth. She was able to attend Oxford And she was presented to Queen Elizabeth II as a debutante. And then one day she just decided to go join the cause of Irish republicanism. I don't know if she is Irish. I kind of think she's not, actually. And for some reason, the description doesn't say she ran off to join the IRA, but it kind of sounds like she ran off to join the IRA. There may be more distinctions to this, and there may be more groups in Irish republicanism than just the IRA. So it's possible I am misunderstanding the situation. I fully admit that right now. But she would lead a gang to steal a Goya, a Gainsbourg, a Rubens, and The Lady Writing a Letter with Her Maid, which is by Johann Vermeer. Her life of crime and activism is at times unbelievable and awe-inspiring and sure to engross readers. It's got no early reviews, so if you want to read it, you're going to be on your own, flying blind. Come back and tell the rest of us what you think of it. It is coming out on November 10th. All right, and I wanted to pull up one true crime book from earlier this year that I feel like may not have gotten the love it deserves, partly because it came out, like a month before COVID. And also it's a difficult subject to talk about. So it's entirely possible that at the beginning of COVID, I was having a lot of trouble reading horror, which I love, or mystery, which I also enjoy. I just wasn't ready to read a bunch of dark, depressing stuff, even though it doesn't normally depress me. So it's entirely possible this book got missed because of the timing in which it came out. But it's called A Race Against Time. A reporter reopens the unsolved cases of the civil rights era by Jerry Mitchell. And I'm worried I'm going to get names wrong. So I'm going to read this from the description. In Race Against Time, Mitchell takes readers on the twisting, pulse-racing road that led to the reopening of 4 of the most infamous killings from the days of the civil rights movement, decades after the fact. His work played a central role in bringing killers to justice for the assassination of Medgar Evers, the firebombing of Vernon Dahmer, and the 16th Street church bombings in Birmingham and the Mississippi burning case. His efforts have put 4 leading Klansmen behind bars years after they thought they had gotten away with murder. There are 700 reviews for this on Goodreads, and they are really high. It's coming at an average score of 4.46. It's available essentially at every location because you can put it on hold, but also because we have several copies. Okay. So if you want to win Confessions on the 745, you're going to need to comment to tell me your favorite thriller or mystery of all time. Like it can be Agatha Christie, it could be Beowulf if that's how you're feeling. Go with it. Be sure to add which MPL location you prefer for pickup if you should win, because last week I just decided to give everybody some books, and I might do that again. So be sure to tell me where you'd like to pick up books. My full review of Plain Bad Heroines is on Goodreads. You can join our Goodreads group, or you can just go over to read my review. And as always, I've made as I've explained so many times, and most of you are tired of hearing because you've already subscribed to the newsletter, but if you haven't, subscribe to New Book Highlights. It'll give you a link to every book I've discussed today to our catalog, so you can put it on hold. And check out our YouTube channel. I'm posting these here, but we also have book recommendations and crafts and cooking and all sorts of fun things. Join me next week for more new November titles, and I hope you have. Right. Okay. See, now here's the thing. Now I have to figure out Zoom again. So I hope you have a lovely day and that you stay well, and that I'm able to end this stream in a reasonable fashion.